Donk Nation, Jackson Janet's greetings and welcome to your daily dose of donkey with Jinja. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, bringing you some Steelers talk in that most awkward of weeks, the bye week between the preseason and the regular season. But we got Gingy in the house, so all is good. Gingy, final 53-man roster's out. Practice squad is made. How are you feeling about the Steelers going into the no week of football?
What up, Gingy in the house? You know what, Donkey? Feeling pretty good. I feel like we called quite a bit of those of the final 53 roster last week. And I don't know. Just kicking back on this Labor Day weekend and getting ready for football.
Gingy, how about the original most gamemanship thing I've ever seen in my life? Omar Khan breaks a 53-man roster with two punters, and not to IR one of them just because he can, Gingy.
Wow. Is that to keep Harvin honest throughout the season or what?
I don't know. I really thought it's because we were going to trade one to Philly and bring back Terrell Edmonds. You know, I had my fingers crossed, but it doesn't turn out to be. Eventually gets cut. Desmond King II gets brought on. I'll talk about him more later, a new addition, a guy I liked coming out of Iowa until I watched him run the 40, and boy, was he slow. But has a Pro Bowl in his past, a decent kit punt returner if things have to go that way. But first, foremost, Gingy, do you like this random week of nothingness in between the preseason and the regular season?
Do I like it? No, but the NFL has to give college football a chance to get underway, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Coach Prime out there winning his first game in Colorado. Oregon hanging some like 80 points in their first week, Gingy. There was some fun college football things going on. I'll say that.
There were some severe blowouts for sure.
It's always what happens in week 1 or week 0. But that's neither here nor there. Let's look then, Gingy, at this roster and some of the makeup on it. I mean, offense kept 3 quarterbacks, what you expected, the 3 running backs we thought. Wide receiver, the top 4 were for sure, but they kept both the fringe guys we thought there in Boykin and Olszewski. Maybe the first, little odd tidbit comes from the tight end group, letting the backup Gentry go, which lets you know they think Washington's ready to step up or Connor Hayward's ready to step up. Keeping only 3 in that group, maybe the first surprise, Gingy?
Yeah, I think it's a good sign, though.
Yes, I agree with you. How about the almighty Omar Khan? And I talked about this last week. I said we were trading that is DeMar Dotson, right? I said we were trading Dotson. We traded him to the Rams. Upgrade a pick this year and next year. I think it's a 5th to a 4th and a 6th to a 5th or something like that. So upgrade there. Get rid of a guy who's no longer in the plans. But how the heck did Omar Khan turn Kendrick Green into a 6th-round draft pick, Gingy? Thank you, Houston, by the way.
I have no idea. It's a good pick. I don't know how you sell that. Coachable, didn't work out here. Yeah, we'll take the value. That's great.
Here's our undersized lineman that we've been trying at fullback because he's not big enough to block in the NFL. We will gladly take your 6th-round draft pick if you may. That a little odd. Can't believe that worked. You get to the offensive line here. Fun note, every Steeler draft pick, Gingy, made the roster. Corey Trice, of course, is on IR, but every Steeler draft pick made the initial roster. As Spencer Anderson does come in, makes that thing. The reserves, Spencer Anderson, Dylan Cook, probably going to be Nick Herbig backing up the center is my guess. And, of course, the big rookie Broderick Jones is the backups. You have your starters. We're going to go left from right. You have Dan Moore Jr., Isaac Simualu, big pickup of the free agency one. Mason Cole holding it down in the center. James Daniel and Chuck Secor on the right side. Offensive line group, pretty solid if Herbig actually is healthy and can be a backup center, Gingy.
I like the sound of all that, Donkey. That's definitely an improved offensive line from where we were starting at the beginning of the season last year.
Yes, agreed. And now let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Maybe surprise number 2. We keep 7 defensive linemen. Last week I went up to you and I said, is this going to be Amari Watts? Is it going to be Loudermilk? Is it going to be Montravius Adams? how about all three, as Fehiko, who I thought was going to make the roster, doesn't? But all three of the fringy guys making it. Of course, you got the starting guys like Cam Hayward and Larry Ogunjobi. Those are the only two I'll say are starters, because I don't know if you're going to have Benton or Montravius Adams starting in the middle at the nose, but I hope it's Benton. You saw that kid in the preseason. Woo! But then you got Leal, Loudermilk, and Amar Watts all make the team. I think Watts is the guy who's going to surprise you, Gingy. But to me, the surprise was all 7 of these guys made it.
I'm all right with that, Donkey. I think we need some depth to defensive line. I think that's going to be a high motor position on this team. And the fresher legs we got on the field with that, the faster we get to rush quarterback, which is, again, what I think that we're going to be basing this whole defense off of this year.
I agree. And while we're talking wide receivers, 2 guys made it purely because of special teams. You'll see in the defensive side, we had guys who make it purely due to special teams, but they're in the secondary. How about only 4 middle linebackers, and none of them are special teams aces, unless Mark Robinson turns into the monster he could be on coverage units. But really, all 4 are there because they were the top 4 linebackers out there. You have Quan Alexander, you have Elandon Roberts, you have Mark Robinson, and of course, the biggest money we brought in, Cole Holcomb, who, like I said, I'm not going to judge him till about December-ish when that knee's fully healed. Somewhere in there, yeah. But those 4 in the middle are pretty solid. We only keep 4 on the outside, too. That's Marcus Golden and Nick Herbig backing up, of course, the 1-2 punch of T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. Gingy, linebacking core, looking solid on the outside with depth and potential on the inside, but that word can be deadly.
Well, again, I said it earlier about an upgrade from last year's position. Take a look at what we had there at the beginning of last year with Miles Jack and Devin Bush, I believe, right?
Devin Bush was my breakout player for the year. That went well, didn't it?
Well, I really wish it would have, Donkey, to be honest with you. That was sad. That was a tough move up in the draft in the first round to get a guy that did not produce that value.
Especially after that injury just scared a contact.
It was really started out promising, I thought, with him, but really tapered off after the first year. We always knew he was a developed guy, but just didn't develop enough after the injury, Donkey.
He did not.
Sad.
And putting him beside Miles Jack, a guy who's never really where he's supposed to be, definitely did not help him. That was just... That whole situation was a train wreck, but then again, he goes to Seattle and things haven't improved for him there. It just feels like Devin Bush is one of those guys who had all the potential, never really saw it through, whether it's he didn't put in all the effort or the effort wasn't there, or he was just undersized, let's be honest here. It could have been a big fall part to him. But that injury, once it hit him, he went from a guy who looked like at least, a capable starter, which at the first round pick, you want something more than that. But he went from a guy who looked like a capable starter to a guy who's at best a backup. And I mean, that's just, you hate to see it, but it does happen so often in a combat sport where injuries happen every single week.
Yeah, not much else to add there, Donkey. Not from me.
Now let's get to the defensive backs. Originally, we kept 6 corners, which surprised me, although Elijah Riley can play safety. So let's put a caveat there that he is not a guaranteed corner. But of course, you have the outside guys are probably going to be Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace, backed up by Joey Porter Jr. and James Pierre making the team, probably because special teams guy, he is a really good gunner. There's no doubt about that. That's where his value comes in. And then both slot guys making it. I was wondering if there was going to be a battle between Shandon Sullivan and Elijah Riley, but they both make it. And Elijah Riley's another guy who brings some good value to this special team, just like a guy we're going to talk about in the secondary, who is our special teams go-to guy. But keeping those 6 is good. But then the Steelers go out and they add Desmond King II, punt return guy, slot corner when he was in San Diego. I think they were still San Diego at that time, might have been LA by then. But with the Chargers, made a Pro Bowl, has got the ability to put his hands on footballs, but played on the outside the last 2 years in Houston, played okay. Slow guy, struggles in man coverage, but excels in zone where he's able to go back, read the quarterback, and put his hands on the football. Like I said, always gets those interceptions. Graded out as like a 70 grade last year in PFF, which is what I went to look for because I didn't watch Houston Texans football games. I mean, did anyone watch Houston Texans football games? So he graded out. He graded out pretty good. Back end type starter corner. Good pickup for the Steelers here, or should we have kept 2 punters?
I don't know, Donkey. That's very fringe. Let's wait and see. You really gotta. Those are guys that may or may not get opportunities throughout the season, given what occurs. Right? You hope they're ready to go when you need them, but
I hope he wins the slot corner job because he was really good at that as the Chargers.
Yeah, we shall see. I think that our secondary would be pretty wide open for competition, in my opinion.
There's a lot of guys who can step up. Like I said, Shannon Sullivan's another guy who has a history of putting his hands on the football, playing in some good defenses in Minnesota. King's a guy who has a history. Like I said, a Pro Bowler before, putting his hands on the football. Also gives a little more depth in punt return, so maybe we can finally move on from Gunnar Olszewski. Neither here nor there. But King is one of those versatile guys, and the Steelers play more zone than man, so he kind of fits the system. But that 4-6 out of Iowa, man, I loved him coming out of Iowa. I thought he was going to be a good second-round pick, and then he decides to run the 40 and puts up that time, and I'm just like, never mind. I don't want any part of that. That's not NFL speed. That's what gets you burned. But he's a guy who's now 5-6 years in and has made a pretty good career, has started seasons in the slot, has started season on the outside. There's something to be said about this young, developing crew bringing in these good veterans like a guy like Shannon Sullivan with the years, Patrick Peterson with the years, right here, Desmond King with the years. I kind of like this movement, and this is a movement to guys who can still play a little bit, Gingy. Maybe this secondary has a lot more upside than at first glance.
Upside if remain healthy, Donkey. Beyond that starting, what do you got there for depth?
Well, that's where all these guys come in. I mean, you're going to go Peterson, Wallace there, and then you have either Sullivan or King or Riley at slot, which means the other one's going to be the depth guys there. Joey Porter Jr. is the depth on the outside. Second round pick, first pick of the second round for a reason, right? So you got to hope that things happen there.
Yeah, that they could step up there. But again, I think we've talked about we don't want to stretch too far. We'll have good things going for us, but you can't really count on all of those good things going for you. You know what I'm saying, Donkey?
Hey, I'm happy about depth at outside linebacker because if that pass rush can keep up, who the hell cares? You don't need a secondary if the quarterback can only stand up for 2 seconds.
The whole time. That's exactly what we've been saying the whole time. Hell yeah.
Now, Gingy, let's finish off the secondary talk here. Super stud free safety, definitely a top 10 safety in the league. Minkah Fitzpatrick, of course, makes the team. The fight between DeMonte Casey and Keanu Neal, we never really got to see happen because neither one of them saw the field. It makes me a little bit nervous there, as both of those guys are dudes with long laundry list of injuries. Both are guys who have had decent play and success, and also some pretty big failures. And then, of course, special teams ace Miles Killebrew has to make this team with his passion for blocking punts and just being great on special teams. No doubt Killebrew was going to make this team. The safeties scare me a little bit, Gingy. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of upside there if KZ can go back to that 7 interception form, but he's not going to be playing center field like he did when he did that because we have arguably the best center fielder in football. So a little bit nervous here on the safety unit, Gingy.
Yeah. Again, that secondary, we've been saying all preseason, possibly type pretty sus, but you never know, Donkey. Let's see how they work together as a unit. If what you says comes true, Patrick Peterson comes back, Joey Porter Jr. develops, Donkey, not all out of the question there. Not all out of the question for success.
Like they say, you want a good secondary, have a good pass rush. Gingy, last group here. Potter doesn't make the team. Man does make the team, gets cut later for King. So we have the same special teams as last year. Boswell, coming off a terrible year. Dude needs to step up. Christian Kuntz, hey, you're a solid long snapper. I never have to talk about you, so that's always a good thing. And, of course, the big shankopotamus, Presley Harvin. Big press, had a really good preseason. Is this finally the year Donkey's draft crush has a good season, Gingy? And can Boswell rebound?
Boswell's going to have to rebound. I think he does. Doesn't he typically go a year on, a year off type of thing?
Uh,
Unfortunately, that's not what we want, but overall it would be on pace for an on year.
And if I'm not mistaken, we get to have the 60-man practice squad again, and I think you get to call people if you want to. There are some fun names on here for Donkey, and if you don't know why, it's because you don't realize I'm the biggest Pitt homer out there. But Quadri Olison, running back, used to play for the Pitt Panthers, had a bunch of 200-yard games as a Pitt Panther, played some for the Falcons, and was a very productive short yardage running back, scoring touchdowns for them a couple years ago. Makes the practice squad. We bring in a fullback named Xander Horvath. I mean, that's a fullback name if I ever heard one, dude. You got to run behind Xander. That's the way it's got to be, Gingy. Those are the first two and the newest names to the preseason I thought I'd bring out there. We also have in here, you know the Steelers. We love to have brothers on the team, right, or family members. You know, we have Big Herbig, Little Herbig. We had the Watts out there. You know, it's a Steelers thing. So, of course, here we go. Simi Fehoko gets brought in, the cousin of Brandon Fehoko, who is the defensive lineman who's on the practice squad now. We bring in an offensive lineman in Joey Fisher and Kellen Desch, who's actually a decent-looking one. Cornerback Josiah Scott is out there making the practice squad. We also kept Greg Bell. You got to see him in the preseason. Not a whole lot from what I remember. Des Fitzpatrick, also a guy from the preseason. The one I kind of like is tight end Rodney Williams. That dude is also a big guy. If we can develop him into something, watch out. Jonathan Marshall, a guy a lot of people thought were going to make this team due to his experience. David Perales, who one game looked really good, the last preseason game. The first preseason game was the guy who literally did nothing the whole time. Anthony Brown, Luke Barak, two more corners in there. I'm so happy to see Trenton Thompson back. Preseason number 17. He was a guy who was hitting, making plays, making interceptions. I like that. And then we bring in Tariq Carpenter. Believe he was an oversized safety who's moving down into linebacker, you know, that new hybrid one that everybody likes. Any practice squad names catch your, gander, Gingy, so we'll say.
Nope, nothing caught me there, Donkey. Don't know enough about it. Hopefully the 53 stay healthy so that we don't have to see too much of those guys. But they're essential to every team, Donkey.
Yeah, I agree. I would have liked to see another rostered position player and one less quarterback kept and a quarterback on the practice squad, because that's the way the NFL tends to be turning right now. And when you're a team that doesn't do that, I know you don't have the protection of that third quarterback, but those third quarterbacks aren't very different from one to another to another to another. So I don't like keeping three quarterbacks anymore, Gingy. What are your thoughts?
You don't typically need them, and you're so right. When Mitchell Trubisky and Mason Rudolph, yeah, I think there's a 1-2, but it's definitely not as big a difference as it really would seem to be. Either one of those guys, I think, would be serviceable in an injury situation.
It's more like you look at Mason Rudolph, and is he that big of a difference from you going and signing a Colt McCoy, who's a free agent right now, or you going and signing a Will Grier, who just got released out there? I mean, hell, I believe Baker Mayfield moved teams 3 times last year. Sam Darnold moves teams. It's not like there aren't those guys who at one point people thought had some upside out there to go randomly sign and play. Hell, I remember the Cowboys. What the heck was the name of the guy they signed right off the street that used to play at Texas? I can't remember that. But he goes out and throws for almost 300 yards on the Steelers and almost upsets us getting signed off the street. That's what I mean. Sometimes maybe it's better to have these guys that people don't have tape on because they don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Duck Hodges, anybody?
Yeah, I hear you there. There's a fair point, Donkey.
So I just don't see the value of keeping 3 quarterbacks anymore. And I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but with how high quality these kids are coming out of college now, you can just go sign any one of them and throw them right in there and see what happens. But Gingy, any other fun topics you have going on outside of course, I believe Bosa's still holding out. Good news for the Steelers.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope that holds through week 1, eh?
Yes, for sure. But any fun news you saw out there in NFL talk, NFL stories, or any of the such?
Nah, Donkey, laying the labor down for the weekend, right? There's going to be plenty of time for football. I'm going to be looking forward to it over this next week, seeing how the rosters break down, seeing what San Fran is going to be putting out there on week 1. Donkey, any thoughts on that?
Ah, discombobulation land. And I'm going to say something right now. I'm not as scared of San Fran as I think I should be. I think the Steelers would have a good idea of getting the pass rush in the quarterback. And if you watched last year, a lot of the things that, oh my gosh, I can't think of Nick Mullins. No, not Nick Mullins. That was the one before. What the heck is their quarterback's name now? Slipping my mind here.
Brock Purdy?
There we go. Brock Purdy. That's the one. I watched him play enough in college to know you get a little pressure on Brock Purdy. He's not quite the quarterback he was when he has wide receivers running wide open and no one in his face. So I'm not that nervous. He's still a young quarterback. Gingy, what do the Steelers do to young quarterbacks?
Make him pay.
Exactly. So I'm not overly worried. I'm more worried about the way that defense can come after us. The offensive line, kind of new, kind of still gelling together. And let's be honest here, our tackles are not the strongest point out there, which is why them missing Bosa would be huge.
Be real nice.
But I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of run heavy stuff. And let's see if Kenny Pickett can keep it perfect out there. But Gingy, this is right before the season. I would be remiss if I didn't have some kind of prediction going on. So we're AFC North. That's what we know. That's what we love. We're going to rank the AFC North teams the way they're going to finish this year. Go ahead with your number one.
I don't know, Donkey. Do I dream big? Do I keep it conservative here?
What do you?
Oh, man. All right. Yinzer Nation, you heard it here first. Steelers, sneak this thing out. Hear me, Donkey. Hear me roar right here.
We're having
an 11-6 Pittsburgh Steelers at the top of the division.
That's 11 my record.
6. Okay, that is
in the division though.
That is in a tie with an 11-6 Bengals team, in which we split 1-1 with them during the season, and we win some sort of insane, stupid AFC tiebreaker.
All right, fair enough. It'd be division record after head-to-head play. I love your record for the Steelers.
Baltimore finishes third.
Oh, we're only doing number one. You just okay. Well, now we know Gingy's all four, so I'll go ahead and break it in. Gingy, 11-6 is exactly where the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be. I agree 100% there. But at 14-3, you have the division-winning, two-time MVP Lamar Jackson leading the Baltimore Ravens. That team has finally got out of its own damn way and hired an offensive coordinator who, at least on paper, doesn't seem like a complete bumbus. You have a generational talent in Lamar Jackson. I don't give a crap what anyone says. Michael Vick was a generational talent. Cam Newton, before injuries, was a generational talent. Lamar Jackson is a generational talent. That dude has better throwing numbers than Michael Vick, better running numbers than Michael Vick, and still gets disrespected all the time. I think Lamar balls out this year. I see the Ravens at 14-3. Hurts to me to say that, but that's where I see them. Second place, I like the Steelers at 11-6, just like you. I think this is the team that is on the biggest uptrend in the AFC North, but I just don't feel we're 14-win good yet. And I think we're a good team, and I think whoever gets to play us as the wild card is going to be pooping their pants. Because would you really want to face Defensive Player of the Year, two-time running, T.J. Watt? Question mark? No.
Typically not in a playoff game.
So I think we're there. Third place, I have the Bengals. I'm looking for them to be the biggest letdown in the AFC this year. A lot happens when you have that first place schedule and you have to play that first place schedule. Also, they've invested a lot of money in pretty players, that means the core is getting weaker. We've seen their offensive line start to deteriorate last year. It's getting a little weaker this year. That defensive line has lost some talent. Those things add up eventually. I think this is the year the Bengals start to really take a step backwards, in my opinion, because I'm going to be honest here. Stanley's the coach there, or no, that's the dude in LA. I don't like their coach. I don't think he really gets it, and I think they finish 9-8 and miss the playoffs. That leads us to Gingy. Last place. Do you want to explain why you put the Stains there?
I don't think that Deshaun does. I don't know. Okay, Donkey, if he bounces back, this division gets really tough to predict.
He had a quote-unquote MVP caliber season when he went 4-13 or 4-12, whatever it was that year. Just putting that out there.
If he bounces back and produces, that's just going to be a tough division to compete in. But the Browns are just, oh, man. I don't know. I think that what happens when you pay a quarterback a lot, Donkey? What you said it before.
Historically, you don't win unless his name's Tom Brady. But even Tom Brady never got paid a lot.
You see what I'm saying? So, history is not on their side
or
here
Patrick
in any way,
Mahomes.
shape, or form.
Sorry, Patrick.
Yeah, you got to be a generational type of talent to pull that off.
I agree with you here. The reason I don't see the Brownies good is how many big running backs do you know that stayed healthy for 5 straight seasons with the wear and tear Nick Chubb has taken?
Not many.
Nick Chubb is a monster. If he stays healthy, maybe I'll change my mind. But that offense has and always will run through Nick Chubb when he's there, just like Tennessee. And I think Nick Chubb is in that 2 years ago Derrick Henry mode where he's just not going to be able to sustain it, and you're going to start seeing the injuries happen. Damn. I know people love the Deshaun Watson stats, and I'm going to say it again. The best garbage time quarterback of our generation, Deshaun Watson, is going to put up some pretty damn impressive numbers again, Gingy, because his team's going to always be down 21 points in the fourth quarter. I just don't see it. Browns are 6-11. That's where I stand on them.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks. Yeah, I'm glad we put that all out there, Donkey. We needed to put that out there before the regular season started. The whole division. The North is what we know. It's what we love, right?
Jimmy, we are football fans. We love to watch football. Who the hell's your Super Bowl?
My Super Bowl, holy smokes.
Gotta end it on a good one.
Yeah, now you're really pulling it out, ain't you? Okay. Man, that is so good. The NFC can really surprise you. I'll tell you what. I feel there's a dark horse in the NFC if I've ever seen one, and that's the Detroit Lions. I know.
You're a dick. If you claim them for your Super Bowl team, I'm seriously going to kick you in the shin.
Might I reconsider that? Okay. Yeah, I don't know, Donkey. That NFC is totally up for grabs, I feel. And you think it's going to be the Eagles. You think it's so hard to get back there again, but the Eagles are really thirsty, I think. That team's a veteran unit. Jalen Hurts comes through again. So give me... Dang. That's a tough one. Give me the... Trying to consider all these teams here, Donkey, in the AFC. There's so many good ones. Do you think, are you a believer that Aaron Rodgers pulls it off, or somebody else from the AFC East?
Yes. Someone else from the AFC East I am a believer in.
Anybody but them, right?
You don't get to know who, but it is someone else from the AFC East. And no, it's not you, Buffalo. Sorry. So we're down to 2 teams left.
Dang. No love, Donkey. No love.
I got to take a Super Bowl that's kind of out there, Gingy. But do you have your pick, or you want me to say mine? Because I'll throw it out there right now.
Yeah, throw it.
It is the Detroit Lions 31, the Miami Dolphins 28, and the greatest quarterback trade in NFL history comes to fruition as both the LA Rams and the Detroit Lions get a Super Bowl out of their new quarterback within the first 4 years. Crazy, gonna happen. Please don't go bet in Vegas on it.
Yeah, that'd be crazy, Donkey. That really would be crazy.
All right, Gingy, you're on the spot now. I can't believe you literally stole my thunder twice now. That's rude.
Yeah, can't believe it. Great minds think alike, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Give me the Eagles and Bills, because I think the Bills are running towards the end of that thing over there. Something special, right? If they're gonna get it done, it's gonna be this year.
Fair.
So if you're putting me on the spot, that's what's gonna happen.
Fair. That's a lot more of the mainstream media take. I'll give you that, Gingy.
Well, I mean, okay, I understand why it's the mainstream media take. I think it's pretty safe to say that those teams are probably going to be playoff contenders, whether or not they have enough to go over the edge and get to that big game. It's really coming down to Josh Allen. Is he the dude up top, or is he the regular
ain't no Patrick
dude?
Mahomes.
He's really not. He's really not. Much less consistent. Okay, at that position.
Like, we talked about him last week. I just think he just takes too many hits. He's just too wear and tear. But we'll see. That's a fair team to bet on. But you better. Buffalo, y'all better hope when Von Miller comes back, he is that Von Miller.
Yeah, when I'm looking at teams, being in that position, right, I'm trying to look at balanced teams. Those are the ones that are going to be there at the end, right? You got to put up some level of resistance on defense. And I think Buffalo has an opportunity to have that balance. Just like I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have an opportunity to be balanced with pass rush and high scoring offense. Let's go!
For sure. My biggest dark horse, by the way, Gingy, you named my NFC one in Detroit. AFC-wise has to be the team that I'm looking at making the potential leap. The Jacksonville Jaguars, because if Trevor Lawrence takes another step forward, boy howdy, watch out for that team.
Yeah, my dark horse in AFC, I could pick that one pretty quickly. That's got to be the Chargers. If we're going to see Herbert develop into that A-tier guy that everybody's going to say he's going to be, we're going to see it pretty soon.
Ever since his days at Oregon, man, Herbert is this guy to me. He will make the most amazing throws you've ever seen. He will do all this fancy stats. He'll throw for 500 yards, 6 touchdowns, and his team will lose the game. I don't know why. But in big games, Justin Herbert just doesn't have that closer, right? He's that pretty stack. He's Dan Marino.
Ooh. Nothing wrong with that, though, Donkey.
No, dude, that's
pretty all right. Yeah, that's pretty all right.
He's like Phillip Rivers, except he doesn't actually choke.
Fair.
Yes.
Fair. I was gonna say, if you're talking about Chargers quarterbacks putting up good numbers in the regular season and just posting numbers, that's definitely one that comes to mind as well.
All right, Gingy. Any last topics before we get to shoutouts?
Nope. I'm ready for it.
Alrighty. Gingy, shout out this week.
Shout out to all them folks in Acrisure Stadium this Sunday. We get a home opener. Is that correct, Donkey?
Sounds right to me.
First time in I don't feel like there's
one prep yet.
I don't think there's been one in a minute, So we're going to shout out to those folks in the stadium. Let's get it rocking and rolling. Let's get it hyped. Don't forget what time it is, okay? It's football season. Shout out. Let's go.
My shout out this week is to your Pittsburgh Steelers. All you guys who made that 53-man roster, it is now your time to play the game that you hopefully love for my entertainment in my team's colors. Do your best. Live up to the legacy. And welcome to the newest member, Desmond King. Ball out, young man. And I can say that because technically you're younger than me. So let's go, Gingy. It's time to let him know. I am the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. I mean the X, since Lasker's corrected me last week. And I'm too silly and not smart enough to remember that. This is your Daily Dose of Donkey with Ginger, the YouTube channel where you get all this fun content. We will be breaking down week 1, what to expect, the Steelers versus Niners history, getting into it. It is that time. Gingy, they need to let us know what they want to see. They need to let us know if they like it. Because Jax, Janet's, Gingy's going to lead you out the door right now.
Woo! Mutant Gingy in the house. We gaming, we chilling. Holy smokes, Donkey. It's the crisp is in the air again. The pigskin is getting tossed, baby. Holy smokes. Get yourself ready for regular season football next weekend, folks. Steelers fans. Wave them if you got them. Let's go.